In this week's Do Something With Your Marketing, I want you to diversify your social media. It was quite a week, wasn't it? With with everything going on in social media, with the Facebook ecosystem just blowing up and it being inaccessible for a day. For some people, more than 24 hours. Some folks, I was listening to an Adweek podcast earlier this week saying they lost tens of thousands of dollars because they could not turn off ads that the system was saying were displaying, but yet nobody could actually see them. Go figure that one out. And so it brought me to this conclusion, this point, that folks are too invested in the big networks. You are too heavy in the Facebook ecosystem and not diversifying, not in multiple places. So this week, I want you to find an alternative social network and invest some time in it. Now, you don't have to spend a ton of time or go all in or just be very binary, but just find something that meets the definition of a social network and spend some more time there. So what is a social network? Let's take a piece of media, right? Say like this white paper that is published this week. This is a piece of media. It has value in and of itself, right? If I hand this to you and you read this, you get value out of it regardless of whether you're the only person who got it or 10 people got it or 100 people or 1,000 people or 1,000,000 people got this thing, right? When you pick up a book and you read through this book, does this book's value change based on the number of people who are reading it? No. You are reading a piece of media, you're getting value out of it. Social media is different. If you were the only person on Facebook, Facebook would have no value. If you were the only person on LinkedIn, it would have no value, right? It would be basically your resume, and that's all it would be. There'd be nobody to talk to. When we talk about social media, we are talking about media that only has value insofar as other people are using it. Network effect, why it's called a social network. And so, using that definition, what else constitutes social media, social networks in your industry? We obviously think of the big ones: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. Cool. What else is there? YouTube is a social network. It's also a video channel, but it is a social network, right? Reddit is a social network, and there's some deep holes you can fall down on Reddit. There's some really interesting stuff on there. Some scary stuff too, but that's a social network. The comments section on a website technically is a social network, right? Because the comments, if you're the only person commenting, not really much value there. But if other people are participating in a discussion, and it's tough because, boy, the comments can get ugly. But it is technically a social network. And then you broaden out. Individual industries have their own social networks. If you are a coder, if you are a developer, guess what? The social network of your choice is GitHub. You spend your time there. That is, you invest a lot of time there. If you're a data scientist, you spend time on GitHub because people will post data repositories, data sets up on there. If you're a data science and AI person, Kaggle is your social network. Almost every industry has a social network, right? Think about gaming. Discord is your social network. You spend a lot of time there. If you are a kid, you spend a lot of time on Tumblr, right? Or Amino or any of the newer apps. If you are in B2B, Slack is a social network. If you're in a Slack instance or multiple Slack instances, you're in a social network, which, by the way, Slack is nothing more than a rebranded and nicer, better interfaced IRC. Even the commands are the same. So for those of you who have some gray hair and remember the early days of technology, Slack is just IRC. Twitch and the gaming networks, guess what? Those are networks. Amazon.com, technically, by definition, is, at least in the reviews and sections, that's a social network. So what in your industry, where in your industry is there a social network for you to participate in? Old school bulletin boards and discussion forums that are privately hosted on individual websites, that's a social network, right? If you were the only person in that bulletin board, it would be no value to it. But if there's a thriving community, there's value. You want to go back really far? Email distribution lists. Listservs, where people could join an email list and get posts from each other. Social network, right? Probably the original social network, or one of the very, very, very first ones. There is almost certainly a social network in your industry. If you are one of those folks who says, well, no, I mean, my industry is so pretty specialized and pretty different, and people don't use technology the same, and and they're really using a social network. Great. You know why? That's a huge opportunity for you. You could be that founding social network. If you are certain that your industry does not have a social network, slap up a bulletin board, start up a Slack instance, whatever, and be the leader in that industry. Be the dominant personality in your industry, and take over, because you will control the social network for your industry. If there truly is nothing else, what a wonderful opportunity that would be for you. But I encourage you to diversify. We talk about investing in people, investing in our relationships, investing in our brand, investing in all this stuff. Marketers love to use terms like that without giving full thought as to what that means. If we're going to use the word invest, then we're going to take investment advice from people in the finance industry, and we're going to diversify our investments. We're not going to invest in just one thing, right? People who have invested in the Facebook ecosystem so heavily got a real nasty shock this week. People who are invested heavily in the Google ecosystem, guess what? Your shock day will come. Any of these networks is a vulnerability because they are not public utilities. There is no guarantee that they will exist tomorrow. And so we have to be prepared for those eventualities. If you are investing in an alternative social network, especially if it's one that you own or that you have a stake in, then you have the ability to have sort of a backup, right? But make sure that you are making those investments. And again, if you're not invested in, if your industry isn't invested in a social network, guess what? You can be that investment leader. You can be the clearinghouse. When you do that, by the way, boy, does that put you in a great position for marketing. I used to run a discussion list on behalf of somebody else way back in the 90s. And just by virtue of association, of helping this person build their community, I became an authority in the community, even though at the time I was woefully unqualified from a knowledge perspective in an industry. Just by doing it, just by running it, people perceive me as the authority. You can do the same. Bonus points if you are an authority, because it will let you guide the discussion much more thoroughly. So do that. Do something with your marketing. Find an alternative social network and invest in it. And by the way, speaking of investment, so in this social media influencer benchmark, which you can get at trustinsights.ai/influencer benchmark, one of the big revelations, not really a huge surprise to anybody, but Instagram's eating everything. And so I need to up my Instagram game. And so if you are active on Instagram, please consider following me. If you want to see what I'm up to personally, go to instagram.com/cspen and follow me there. If you want to see what I'm up to professionally, go to instagram.com/trustinsights and follow me there, because our company, we're going to be posting more, being more active on it, because in our own research, we found that Instagram outperforms other social networks, at least the two others we looked at, by a factor of 72 in engagement. Hard to argue with that. So please give me a follow if you can, and feel free to let me know when you do. Hey, I followed you. If follow you personally or your business, let me know where we can follow you, and we'll reciprocate as well. But that's this week's episode. As always, please subscribe to the YouTube channel and the newsletter. I'll talk to you soon. Want help solving your company's data, analytics, and digital marketing problems? Visit trustinsights.ai today and let us know how we can help you.